Hi guys! Did you know that 8 is a lucky number in China? Some people will actually go to great lengths in order to have as much of it in their lives as possible, like paying proportionately more for a license plate or even a phone number the more 8s it features. But here's the thing, you can have a very affordable 8 in your life right now, and that is the Xiaomi Mi 8, which at this point is one of the cheapest phones with a Snapdragon 845. So how does it hold up in 2019? Can it still be your lucky charm? Well, let's find out. I'm Vlad for GSM Arena, and this is our long-term review of the Xiaomi Mi 8. The Mi 8 might look a bit familiar when you show it off to your friends, especially if you cover the lower part of its front, or if you just cover everything on the back aside from the camera island. Let's just say it goes with something that has become a pretty much classic look in the mobile world by this point, and hopefully you won't be put off by that. The design does work though, and the build quality is exactly as perfect as you'd expect from a phone that used to be its maker's flagship when it launched. Now, all this said, it is a glass sandwich you are holding, which means there's no escaping the slipperiness. No. On the other hand, the Mi 8 is not huge, by today's standards at least, so handling it should be fine for most people. The AMOLED panel in the Mi 8 is lovely to look at, even if it's not the best in pixel density. But in my day-to-day normal use, I have not been able to spot individual pixels, so I'm happy that despite the resolution, Xiaomi chose to go with a very high-quality display. The colors nicely pop, and you have varying degrees of accuracy to play with in settings. The auto brightness works well, and the screen gets sufficiently bright to be used even on the sunniest of days spent outside. The notch is probably bigger than it had to be just in order to fit that tech, so I'm assuming its shape was dictated more by likeness to other notches. You'll probably get used to it, but you can no longer hide it in software, so those ears will be sticking out all day, every day. The size of the notch also means that the ears or horns are very small, so in the left one you either get the clock or notification icons, but never at the same time. You see notification icons for about a second as each one comes in, and then it's back to the clock. The fingerprint sensor on the back works very well. It's incredibly fast and very accurate, much more so than any in-display scanner can be at this point in time. There's Face Unlock too, with an IR sensor in the notch, helping it work at night as well. However, this is still a much less secure system than Apple's Face ID, and for some reason Xiaomi insists on geo-blocking it. So odds are you're gonna have to go into settings and switch your region to one of only a handful that currently support this functionality. When you do get it to work though, it is always fast, so there's that. The Mi 8's cameras are very good. Not a match for the best of the smartphone world at this point in time, but very close. Dynamic range is generally good, and images come out sharp and detailed at the expense of some noise, which does get more pronounced at night. Colors are nice and not overly saturated unless you enable the AI feature. The secondary zoom lens on the back does its job well when there is plenty of ambient light around. For darker settings, OIS would have helped it achieve better results, but hey, at least Xiaomi lets you use this even at night. For the darkest scenarios, there's a dedicated night mode, which does brighten things up if you can hold your phone still for a few seconds. On the other hand, this still isn't on par with what Google's Night Sight can produce. The Mi 8 performs like a champ no matter what you throw at it. The only consistent stutter I've seen is in the camera app when you switch between the two-ear shooters, but that's probably an easy software fix. Otherwise, this thing just flies, and it even comes pretty close to a new Pixel in terms of smoothness. And when you factor in the current price of the Mi 8, that's even more impressive. Battery life has been good while not record-breaking. I hope you weren't expecting miracles from a 3500 mAh cell. Still, the Mi 8 uses the capacity very well, and depending on your use, 7 hours of screen-on time in a day is achievable. But I feel like the phrase "your mileage may vary" has been invented specifically for discussions about smartphone battery life. If you use the phone primarily on mobile data, and perhaps even in an area with less than stellar coverage, and if you also use GPS a lot, then you're gonna have an entirely different experience. Still, for my mostly Wi-Fi based usage scenario, the Mi 8 always held up until the end of the day. MIUI 10 is what the Mi 8 currently runs based on Android 9 Pie. It's fast and snappy, but its launcher doesn't have an app drawer, so if you're into that, you're gonna have to use a third-party app. The design of MIUI is pretty far removed from what one would call stock Android, and it also chooses to do some things differently just for the sake of being different. On the other hand, you do get a lot more options than you've ever had in any version of stock Android, and if you don't enjoy the default look, you can just use another theme. MIUI's gesture navigation system is my favorite one out there because you can swipe from either the left or right edge of the screen in order to go back, and this cuts down on finger gymnastics significantly since you don't always have to reach the bottom of the screen and swipe from there. That's still what you need to do if you want to go home or reach the multitasking view, but I think most people use those actions way less than they use back. The Recents menu has a weird vertically scrolling two-column view that feels unnecessary, but hey, at least it's different in a world where every other company seems to have settled for the same horizontally scrolling one app at a time system. If you're considering a Mi 8, here are a few more things to be aware of. First of all, there's no headphone jack because I guess it's 2019 and it's about to become extinct anyway. Also, no wireless charging and no IP rating whatsoever. Oh, and both the earpiece and the bottom firing speaker are pretty quiet, so even at maximum volume, you might have issues hearing things when you're in a very noisy environment. The things I just mentioned haven't affected me personally very much during the extended period of time when I was using the Mi 8 as my one and only smartphone. That's because I can live without wireless charging, an IP rating, and even a headphone jack, but your priorities might obviously be different. The issue regarding the maximum volume of both the earpiece and the speaker was slightly annoying, but I'm almost willing to overlook that because of the Mi 8's current price. After all, it is gunning for the title of cheapest smartphone with a Snapdragon 845. There are a lot of things I liked about the Mi 8. Its build quality, its size not being too extreme, its overall performance and snappiness, the decent battery life, and the fact that its cameras reliably churn out good images regardless of lighting conditions. The screen is very good too, and I've seen absolutely no weird issues regarding signal or GPS positioning or connectivity whatsoever. MIUI is definitely an acquired taste if you're coming from anything resembling stock Android. However, once you get used to its particularities, it does work very well. That is, aside from the lack of notification icons in the status bar, which is the one thing I couldn't get over. But hey, you might, especially if you've had a device with similar behavior, like an iPhone. Speaking of which, there's no escaping the fact that Xiaomi's inspiration for both the shape of the notch as well as the camera island on the back of the Mi 8 comes straight from Apple's iPhone X. I wish the company would stop doing this and just come up with more unique designs of its own in the future. So, to answer the question from the beginning, could this be your lucky number 8? Yep, definitely, especially if you're not the type to fall for the hype of the newest models. And also if you can live with its quirks, because perfect it isn't. However, for the price, it's a very compelling offer for anyone but the earliest adopters. Please hit the like button if you enjoyed this video. I hope it helped you get to know the Mi 8 just a little bit better. If you want to take an even deeper dive, check out our written long-term review. And don't forget to subscribe to our channel and hit the bell icon to get more videos from us in the future. I'll see you guys next time.